and after. As the title suggests, paying for grad school is something you need to plan for not only before you start, but it also will need to be managed during grad school. And lastly, after you've completed your program, it's important to know your repayment and possibly loan forgiveness options. This webinar was developed by the Office of Graduate and Professional Studies in conjunction with the Office of Financial Aid at St. Mary's College. It's designed to be an overview of financial aid available to graduate students, but is not intended to replace information or advice provided directly by the Financial Aid Office. My goal in the next 40 minutes is to demonstrate how you can pay for your graduate studies without risking your financial security in the future. Here are some things to consider. Remember, timing is everything. Apply for financial aid at the same time you're applying for admission to your program of study. This is to allow sufficient time for processing, which normally takes 6 to 8 weeks. Be prepared in all aspects of your life: budget, family, health, personal mindset, other life events or obligations. You may need to adjust your lifestyle in terms of spending. You need to realize that no one funding source is going to cover all your costs, so think diversification and give yourself enough time to do the proper research. You almost certainly will need to take out a loan, but there are ways to offset that cost. There are many possible sources of financial aid in addition to federal loans. The SMC payment plan, grants, assistantships or fellowships, work-study, scholarships, private loans, employer reimbursement, or veterans or dependents of veterans benefits. And speaking of veterans, St. Mary's is a yellow ribbon school. For graduate students and professional students and non-traditional undergraduate students who don't need to take out a loan but just need to be able to divide their tuition into more manageable payments, a 3-month payment plan is administered by the St. Mary's Business Office for fall and spring, and a 2-month plan for summer. The cost is a $25 fee per term, and a new application or contract must be turned in before the start of each term for which you want to be on a payment plan. Contact the business office for more information at 925-631-4209 or business@stmarysca.edu. Unfortunately for international students, they're not eligible for federal loans and grants, but these students should explore home country-based or government-sponsored scholarships, or school-specific scholarships, or private loans, which usually require a U.S. sponsor. There are several different types of assistantships, as you can see from this list. The direct and indirect benefits of an assistantship are fairly obvious. These positions are usually paid in the form of reduced tuition and a stipend for living expenses. Normally, a student will be assigned to a specific department and asked to work a certain number of hours per week or to teach a specific number of classes. Besides the experience and funding, the networking opportunities are phenomenal. St. Mary's College offers assistantships or fellowships in the MFA in Creative Writing program and in the MA in Kinesiology program. Details can be found on their program websites. In terms of the types and sources of scholarships, here are a few. School-specific or program-specific. Here at St. Mary's, the School of Education, the Graduate School of Business, the MFA in Creative Writing program, the MA in Kinesiology program, and the MFA in Dance program all offer partial scholarships for incoming or current students. Details can be found on their program websites. professional associations or organizations in your field. Some examples include the California Association of School Counselors, the National Association of School Psychologists, or the American Association of University Women. Disadvantaged categories often offer scholarships. Minorities, for example, the Hispanic Association of Schools and Colleges. Single mothers, the disabled, veterans, women returning to the workforce. The SMC Library provides access to databases and catalogs for students interested in finding assistance with grants, scholarships, subsidies, government aid, and loans. Search the web for scholarships. FastWeb, Peterson's, Student Scholarship Search, gradcu.com are just a few. You can research these sites and others for scholarship opportunities. Be sure to note the application deadline and the award timeframes. And always remember, while you can apply for as many scholarships as possible, being awarded one is not a given. So make sure you've applied for a loan amount that's sufficient to cover your needs. Then if you're awarded a scholarship, you can always decline the disbursement for a particular term. Everyone should complete the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. This is in case your financial circumstances change mid-year. Even if you don't intend to take out a loan, some need-based scholarships will require you to complete a FAFSA. A new FAFSA must be submitted at the beginning of every calendar year, but you're funded based on the courses taken during the academic year, which runs from July 1st through June 30th. Submitting a FAFSA automatically initiates the loan process. If you decide that you don't want a loan, let the financial aid office know. And just a reminder, the correct URL to access FAFSA is www.fafsa.ed.gov. FAFSA.com is not the same thing. Although they are a student financial services company, they will charge you to fill out what is already a free form. In addition to the FAFSA, you will need to go to studentloans.gov to complete the graduate entrance counseling and execute your master promissory note for the direct loan. There are two types of student loans, unsubsidized direct and graduate plus. The direct loan maximum is $138,500. There's no maximum for Grad Plus. You are not eligible for Grad Plus if you had adverse credit history like a bankruptcy, late payer status, defaulting on a loan, or excessive credit card debt. You need to apply only once at the beginning of your program for the direct loan, but you must reapply every year for Grad Plus. Once again, remember you can always decline a disbursement during a specific term if you get a scholarship. And for those of you whose program offers a Jan term, I want to advise you that there's no funds distributed during Jan term, no regular disbursement. So what you need to do then is to arrange for the funds that you need to cover Jan term to be either dispersed during the preceding fall term or the following spring term. You need to talk to the business office about your situation to make sure they understand that you are taking out a loan and you will get the funds. Don't assume that they know that. So this may help you avoid a late fee. Here's an example of a $20,500 direct loan repayment. And that is the standard amount that you would be, the maximum amount you'd be processed for a direct loan as a graduate student. This is the standard repayment model, and what would be the default for or if once you come out of deferment after you complete your program. Remember, if you don't indicate otherwise, you'll automatically go into this standard repayment program. And this is the standard repayment program for a Grad Plus loan. As you can see, the Grad Plus interest rate is slightly higher than the direct loan interest rate. Because your student loans can substantially affect your overall credit and vice versa, it's worth the time to spend a few moments on financial literacy. You may have heard of the term FICO, which stands for Fair, Isaac and Company, and this is the most common credit score type. FICO considers how you're paying your accounts, how much money you currently owe, how long your accounts have been open, what different types of credit you use, how much credit you use compared to the amount of credit you have available, and how often and how recently you've applied for credit. So these are the factors that go into your credit score. And take note that you may have credit cards that you've vowed not to use anymore and you've tucked them away so you can't have access to them. Or maybe you've cut them up, but unless you cancel those credit cards officially with the company that granted them, they still show up on your credit card, or they still impact your credit score because they represent available credit to you. Whether or not you've cut them up or you're not using them, you must officially cancel them with your credit card company. FICO does not evaluate your age, your race, religion, sex, marital status, your occupation, your salary, your employment history, where you live, child family support obligations, rental agreements, other student loans, and deferment. None of those things are considered. If you're denied credit because of your FICO score, ask the lender for score reasons, because understanding these reasons can help you improve your FICO score over time. You can improve your credit behavior by making loan credit payments on time, reducing open lines of credit, as I mentioned, especially newer credit, keeping balances low, or better yet, paying them in full monthly. You can correct inaccurate information. Be sure to do that. Keep your information updated and dispute mistakes. Take that time. So you can improve, but you cannot repair poor credit. Bad credit stays with you for 10 years. So those credit repair services that are out there that will ask you to pay them to fix your credit, those are just a waste of money. You can find out your total loan debt in detail by going to the National Student Loan Data System. Repayment usually begins 6 months after graduation. There are several different options you can look into. Standard repayment or the default plan, which I've already discussed. There's now income-based repayment or IBR, pay-as-you-earn repayment, and also income contingent repayment. These are other options you should definitely consider. In addition to this list of tips, here are some other suggestions. Setting up payments automatically through your bank account should dramatically reduce the chances of late or missing checks. The standard repayment period for student loans is 10 years. Good to know. Use, as I mentioned, the government's National Student Loan Data System, which tracks all your federal student loans and who holds them. Don't forget about the option for income-based repayment, which allows your monthly payments to be capped at 15% of your discretionary income. Stay current on the news, on the law. The Project on Student Debt and the National Consumer Law Center's Student Loan Borrower Assistance Project have the latest and greatest on student loan developments, which are always changing, so it's important. And lastly, if you end up in a dispute with your lender, the Federal Student Aid Ombudsman may be able to help resolve the problem. For private loans, you could be in default as soon as you miss a payment. Private lenders' collection powers are not as strong as the federal government, but this is still debt that you owe. And if you default on either your private or your federal loans, and in the case of federal loans, you're usually delinquent after 9 months, it affects your credit and could prevent you from securing a credit card, a mortgage, an apartment, or a job. So rather than missing payments, a deferment can be requested. A deferment is a temporary suspension of payments, and you qualify for a deferment if you re-enroll in school, if you're unemployed, if you face economic hardship, or due to disability, certain military service, or following active duty. Another option is forbearance. And forbearances are temporary postponements or reductions because of financial hardship. However, in both cases, remember, interest continues to accrue during this time. The income-driven plan is designed for those in repayment experiencing partial economic hardship whose outstanding federal loan debt is higher than annual income or represents a significant portion. Excuse me. Is higher than annual income or represents a significant portion of annual income. You must apply for these income-driven repayment plans. So there's several types of plans. The income-based repayment plan, or IBR, the pay-as-you-earn repayment, and the income contingent repayment. In IBR, the payments are capped at 10 to 15% of discretionary income, and you are eligible for forgiveness after 25 years of payment. Using an online tool at studentloans.gov, IBR participants must transfer their tax information annually to confirm that they're still eligible. Otherwise, a higher payment could result. And this has actually happened. Since this was fairly new, some folks started out, signed up for IBR, thought they were done, neglected to update their tax information the following year, and then they fell out of IBR. So that's an important thing to pay attention to. Pay-as-you-earn repayment is a graduated repayment based on an individual's earnings and how they increase over time. Payments are capped at 10% of discretionary income, and you are eligible for forgiveness after 20 years of payment. Income contingent repayment, or ICR, extends repayment over time, but it also extends the interest payment, and the interest paid, the total interest paid. Payments are capped at 20% of discretionary income. You're eligible for forgiveness after 25 years of income. Of payment, excuse me. So this table illustrates what the monthly payments would be under income-based or pay-as-you-earn repayment. These are really the two best options for you, and at various income levels. As you can see, it makes the payments more affordable and proportionate to the income level of the payer. So again, your payments are based on your earnings, not on the amount that you owe. Public service loan forgiveness coupled with income-driven repayment is very powerful. Income-based repayment you would for 10 years you continue to pay back your loan on an income contingent basis. for 10 years, and you're working during that same 10 years in public service, in a school, a hospital, the military, government, really anything in the nonprofit sector will qualify you as an eligible employee for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The one disclaimer on the program is that any loan amount forgiven under a forgiveness plan could be viewed as untaxed income in the future. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. I mean, you're better off being able to take advantage of public service loan forgiveness, but you may have to pay taxes on that, the amount that's forgiven. But that's a much smaller amount than whatever balance you might be contending with. Okay, so public service loan forgiveness, something to bear in mind if you are going to be working in public service following graduation. Mental or behavioral health clinicians can get up to $50,000 to repay their student loans with a 2-year commitment to work at an approved National Health Service Corps clinic site, which is normally in a high-need or underserved area in the United States. Payment is at the beginning of service, so these loans can be paid down much more quickly than, say, what we were just talking about with public service loan forgiveness, which comes at the end of 10 years of service. This comes up front with that commitment. There's also the California Mental Health Loan Assumption Program, which is created and funded by Proposition 63, as you see here. Recipients may receive up to $10,000 to repay educational loans. And these are based on the fact that they commit to 12 months of service. They work in a hard-to-fill or retain position within county public mental health services. And that this applies to MFT or LPCC or school psychologist would be eligible to participate in this program. So this is another powerful program that you might want to consider taking advantage of. Students may apply for the TEACH grant if they are enrolled in a state-approved teacher preparation program, which of course that St. Mary's ours is, and they agree to teach a high-need subject area like math, science, foreign language, and special education for 4 years in a low-income or low-performing school. If you do not complete the service commitment, this up to $4,000 grant will turn into a loan. There's also the teacher loan forgiveness. Highly qualified credentialed teachers who have a federal staff or direct loan and have been employed as a full-time teacher for 5 complete and consecutive academic years in a Title I school are eligible for loan forgiveness. Benefits range from $5,000 to $17,000 depending on the school and the subjects taught. Eligible schools are listed in the annual directory of designated low-income schools for teacher cancellation benefits. So this is another loan forgiveness program specifically for teachers, and it can be, you can double dip here. You can take advantage of this loan forgiveness program and also potentially the public service loan forgiveness program as well. And then the range of loan forgiveness, $5,000 to $17,000. Those that are teaching single subject math, science, foreign language, or special ed are eligible for the higher dollar amount. Multiple subject teachers would probably qualify for the $5,000 repayment amount, but it's still money to help you repay your loans. The Lifetime Learning Credit offers up to $2,000 per tax return for each year you pay for college. To qualify, your modified adjusted gross income cannot exceed $63,000 as a single taxpayer, or $127,000 for those married and filing jointly. This tax credit does not include expenses, or does not include insurance or medical expenses, room and board, transportation, or similar personal living or family expenses. It's really specifically for tuition and books. There's also something called the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is a maximum annual credit of $2,500 per eligible student for qualified education expenses for the first 4 years of higher education. So for graduate students, this means that you only qualify for this credit if you complete your undergraduate degree and then start your graduate degree in the same calendar year. So this may only apply to a certain population. If you qualify for both credits, you must choose the one that gives you the lowest tax, and you can't take advantage of both. So that's another tax credit available to some who qualify. And just to sum up then, develop a funding plan, get organized and stay organized, keeping really good records. You can see that this spans a number of years, so you really have to have good record keeping. Develop or modify your plan, so revisit it annually. Say, is it still meeting your, is your budget, is it still meeting your needs? Follow developments or changes in the law. studentaid.ed.gov or equaljusticeworks.org are two good places, because some of these things were enacted by Congress, and things can change. Things can get better, things can get worse. So it's really important to stay on top of that, so you know what, really know what your situation is. And then review your plan regularly. The entire funding plan, to make sure that the sources of income that you were counting on are still there to take advantage of, and explore new ones all the time. That really wraps things up. I'm showing you my contact information. I am not with financial aid. I want to make sure you understand that. I work in graduate and professional studies, supporting all the graduate programs at St. Mary's College. But I've made it my business to familiarize myself as much as possible with financial aid options, because I know this is really an important thing for you guys, and not something that you're taking lightly. And I want you to be aware of all the options out there. But when it comes down to the real nitty-gritty, you still will need to contact the financial aid office and work with them on the actual disbursement of loans and grants and those kinds of things. But feel free to contact me if anything's not clear. You will get a follow-up email after today. You'll get it tomorrow, which will include all the links of all the websites that I've referenced in this webinar. I will also, if you want to refresh, I do not distribute the slides, but I will post this webinar on the Graduate and Professional Studies website. Go there and then go to Student Resources, and then Financial Aid, and then you'll find the webinar is posted there if you want to watch it again. Again, I hope that this was helpful. I hope you found it beneficial and you feel confident that you can pay for your graduate studies without risking your financial security in the future. So I'd like to pause for a few minutes to see if there's any questions out there. You're welcome to type those in now, and I'll attempt to answer them for the group. So I'll just wait a few minutes now to see if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask at this time. And of course, if you think of them after the fact, you're welcome to email me as well. Oh, okay, so I've got a few questions. Hold on. Can you post the link to where the webinar will be posted? I can post the page where it will reside on the St. Mary's website. Yes. Let me see if there's anything else. It doesn't appear that there are any other questions at this time. So I'm going to sign off. Again, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that you found this beneficial. Bye for now.